Welcome. Welcome, everybody. We didn't have any music where you could stop, but welcome. Welcome to the May 8th service of the Unitarian Universalist congregation of Grand Traverse. Welcome to everybody here today and to the people online. My name's Dan Tholen. I'm a longtime member of the congregation and coordinator for today's service. Okay, we're settled down. I want to first acknowledge Happy Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day. And I give this to all of you who mother, whether your name's on a certificate or not. I know there are many of you. You're important. There's not enough, but thank you. Thank you from the heart, mothers, and those who mother. A mother's love is an exemplar of the topic of today's service, titled Our Sacred Commitments, with a homily delivered by Reverend Jensen. And today we'll witness another sacred commitment in welcoming of new members into the congregation. But before we start, I wanted to let you know we have a few activities immediately following the service today. First of all, there's a reception for our new members. It'll be in the social hall, and everybody, welcome, please attend. And then at the same time, there will be a brief discussion group in here among congregation members if you have questions about the proposed bylaw changes. I think the bylaw changes might be in your order of service. It's certainly on the flash. If you have any questions about it, please stick around right after the service, before the members' reception or before you go to it, and get any questions answered on those bylaws. We'll be voting on them at the annual membership meeting in June. Are there any visitors today who'd like to introduce themselves? If so, you can rise.
I'd like to introduce Alan and then my friend Chris Allen, who's been here for years on and on also.
Welcome. Welcome. I'm sorry?
My friend Susie.
Welcome. Welcome, Judy. Any others?
Over here.
Yes.
I'm listening to, my name's Nancy.
Welcome. Welcome. Well, please stick around. And like I say, grab a yellow cup when you see the coffee machine there. Grab a yellow cup, and we'll try to introduce ourselves and find out more about you. Those of you online, after the service is over, you have a link to the Zoom meetings for chat. You can join us, please, for fellowship, or if you have any questions about the congregation, we'd be happy to answer them there. So, we'll begin today with another of our more vital commitments from our Director of Religious Education, Betsy Hammerberg.
Good morning. My name is Betsy. My name is Betsy Hammerberg, and I'm the Director of Religious Education here at UUCGT. Religious education specifically for the children and youth. And my job has recently become a lot more active and rewarding now that we have welcomed children back into our building. And we are also making a very clear point of welcoming them into our sanctuary with our new children's area. So we're going to have some different things for them to do while they are part of the service. And beginning hopefully next week or the week after, we'll also have some of these things for adults as well, because we are acknowledging that not everyone can sit still all the time and listen. And our children, we've got some really cool kinetic activities for them. We're also going to have things available for adults as well. And you are welcome to bring your knitting or your embroidery or doodle, whatever helps you feel comfortable, listen, and be present. So, getting back to our children. We've been having a great time back in the RE wing, getting to know each other, playing together, learning about our faith. And the children that are here and that are not here today are amazing. They are fun, they're silly, they're creative, they're curious, and I'm having a fantastic time. But I'm not up here just to tell you how great they are. I'm here to invite you to come learn that and experience that for yourselves by joining us on Sunday morning in the RE room. Spending time in the RE room on a Sunday morning will be a different type of spiritual experience than you might get here in the sanctuary, but it is an experience that will fill your spirit, and I promise you that. And if you're a person that really feels worried about missing the sermon or the rest of the service, you can watch it at home. It's recorded. But also, our children are not the only amazing people in our congregation. You are too. I look out and I see people who I know are kind and have knowledge and talents and experiences to share. And so our children would benefit from getting to know you too. But most importantly, when you choose to spend time with our children on a Sunday morning, you're showing them that they are truly valued and welcomed here. You're letting them know that you want them to be part of this community. And as the saying goes, it takes a village to raise a child. The families in this congregation, including me, have chosen this place to be their children's spiritual village. So we do have some opportunities this month and next month to join us in the RE room. If it's nice, we'll be outside. You get to be outside on a Sunday morning. And there's a sign-up sheet out on the welcome table. And there's also a place for your name if you want to join us at some point, but you're not able to come in this month or next month. So thank you very much in advance. I look forward to all of you getting to know our children and for them to get to know you better. And we will now hear our prelude, The Garden Song, written by David Mallet and performed by Barbara Young.
Whoever you are and wherever you are on life's journey, you are welcome here. I am the Reverend Alex Jensen. I use the pronouns he and him, and I am the minister of this warm and vibrant community. If we haven't yet had a chance to connect with one another, I hope we will soon, but it is just so good to see all of you here this morning. I want to make just a special note about this wonderful new stole that I'm wearing just now that was given to me from all of you for this installation. And I just want to credit Sandra McDonald. I don't think we mentioned that in the service, but Sandra McDonald made this beautiful stole. And so I feel really special getting to wear it on this first Sunday with all of you. So we welcome you this morning in the fullness of each of our lives, in the multitudes of who we are and all the ways that we come here. We especially welcome those of us who have been at the margins at one point or another, those who are queer or transgender, those of differing abilities, those who are neurodivergent, those of us whose racial or cultural identities are one or many. We hope that you will find a place for yourself here at our table. And as we join together in this service on our sacred commitments and welcoming new members, hear these opening words from the Reverend Sarah Stewart. Bring who you are as you join us this morning. Bring your best self and your struggling self. Bring your mistakes and your triumphs. Bring your shortcomings and your recommitment to do good. Bring yourself here and open your heart to beauty, to truth, to the door that is open to the presence of God. Here in this community, we are trying to travel together on the peaceable way, trying to hammer out division and hatred and all that separates one from another. We try, and we will fall short, but held in love, we try again. We come together this morning as a congregation to bow our heads in prayer, to raise our voices in song, to remember our promises, and to vow to live by them once again. And so, dear ones, let our gathering this day be a promise to one another, a promise which we endeavor to live out as we love, as we fall short, and we always try again. Come, let us worship together this morning. As we enter into this time together, we also acknowledge the land on which we live and gather, the land known to the Anishinaabe as the Kichiwi Kwedong, the place of the Big Bay. We recognize the indigenous peoples who lived on these lands for generations before centuries of violence and colonization, the Anishinaabe who are the Ojibwe and Odawa in our own region here in the Grand Traverse area. We raise the birch bark basket holding the 4 sacred medicines of sweetgrass, cedar, sage, and tobacco, not to make ourselves feel better about this past or to console our hearts, but instead to remind us to hold and make space for the Anishinaabe as we work to reconcile the harm of colonization. As Unitarian Universalists, it is also our practice each Sunday to light the flaming chalice, the symbol of our faith. As we light our own chalice in our sanctuary, I invite those of you that are tuning in online to join as well in kindling a flame. And our chalice lighting words this morning come from the Reverend Dr. Cynthia Landrum, and I will read them as Ellie here lights our chalice for us. As we kindle this flame, may it spark in each of us connection and commitment to this living tradition and to each other. Fire safety is real important up here. Hard to blow a candle out with the mask on. Lessons that we're still learning. We also sound our singing bowl, calling us into this sacred time that we set apart from our busy and full lives. I invite you to listen to its sound as it dissipates into the silence as we join one another in worship this morning. I now invite you to rise in body or in spirit and to join in singing our opening hymn, Enter, Rejoice, and Come In, the lyrics for which are printed in your order of service, but are also available up on the video screen as well. So I please invite you to rise as we sing this together and start our service.
Good morning again, everybody. Have you ever heard the word covenant? It's not a word that we often use in day-to-day life, but it's a really important word here in our church. And a covenant is a very special type of promise that people make to one another. It's not a promise that goes one way, I promise you this. It's a promise that we all make together to each other. Come up. And I'm going to tell you a story today about a covenant. And this is a story that comes from the Jewish Bible and the Jewish Torah and the Christian Bible. And so in this story, there is a character called God. And in this story, God has created the world, the universe, and everything in it. So, the story. Did you ever make such a mess of something? Maybe something you built or something you drew that you got angry and frustrated and you just wanted to knock it all down or crump it all up and throw it away. So that's how God was feeling when he looked around at the world. He said, you pour your heart and soul into making this wonderful world full of people and plants, and all that effort for what? A year or two or 1,500 go by, and the whole thing is a mess. People, what was I thinking? They lie, they hurt each other, they steal. None of them are any good. I should just start over. Get rid of the whole thing and start again from scratch. Yep, that is just what I'll do. God took a look around to make sure that there were not, in fact, any decent people around to be destroyed. And it turned out that God found one good, kind family, the family of a man named Noah. And so God went to Noah and said, this world is no good, and I'm planning on getting rid of all the people and starting again, except you and your family. So this is what you have to do. Build a really big boat. Not big enough just for you and your family, but for all the animals, for a pair of every animal, not all the animals, but one pair of every kind of animal there is. Do you want to hold on to this and pass it? Yeah. And I'll give you some time, but you better get to it. I imagine Noah had a hard time believing his ears, but he gathered up his family and told them what he'd heard. Some of the family set about building the boat. Sweetheart, can you pass that on? Some of the family set about building the boat, which was called an ark, and others went and gathered up all the animals. Here's all the animals. And when the boat was finished, they loaded all the animals onto it, 2 of every kind. And then the rain came. Can you all help me make a rainstorm? Just watch. So we start by rubbing our hands together. So the rain is coming, and it rained and rained and rained. All right, now if you know how to snap, like no rain you ever saw. All right, more rain, and the water got higher and higher and covered the land. And all the giant boat full of animals and Noah's family gently rose with the water for days and days and nights. The rain went on until finally it just stopped. Noah's family ran to the windows of the ark and were astonished to see blue sky and blue water and nothing else, just water and sky. There was nowhere to go and nothing to do, so they waited and waited and waited. Finally, Noah sent out a raven to fly around and look for land, but it came back tired, for there was nowhere to rest. Noah waited a week, and then he sent out a dove to fly around and look for land, but it also came back tired. So he brought the dove back in, waited another week, and sent it out again. This time the dove came back with a twig from an olive tree in its beak. It had found land. Eventually, the water backed off enough for Noah to see that the ark had come to rest on top of a mountain, and there was land all around them. It was not dry land, it was wet and mushy land, but it was land. And finally, the people and the animals were able to leave the crowded, smelly ark and touch the earth. They were overcome with gladness, and Noah made an altar to thank God for bringing them to safety. "Welcome home," said God. Do you have a question?
Why is there a hippo on the roof?
I don't know. Maybe the hippo just wanted to see the sun. "Welcome home," said God. "I will make a deal with you, a promise, a covenant. My covenant is with all the beings of the earth, not just the people. You go forth and populate the earth and fill it again with humans, and I promise never to flood the earth again. And as a sign of my covenant with you, I will put a rainbow in the clouds." Here's our rainbow. "And every time that you see a rainbow, it will remind you of our covenant to nourish and celebrate all living things." The end. We're now going to hear a short song sung just for you. And after that, we're going to go down to the RE room and we're going to come up with our own covenant and make some rainbows. So while you're listening to this special song just for you, you can put lids onto your boxes and clean up all your materials.
Please join me in singing the children's benediction. We're going to sing it 2 times through. Go in joy and go in peace to meet the day. With open hearts embrace love's wonder. We will guide you, we will love you all your way. Go
Chris Louds, and I'm the chairman of the membership committee. And I wanted to, before we begin our bits, I wanted to introduce you to the rest of the committee. Rick Walter, and if you guys would stand up, Chris Walter, John Hoffman, and Jane Watts. And we man the welcome table, we organize the greeters, and we help to welcome new members into our congregation.
It's my pleasure now to invite the newest members who are able to attend today up here at this time, if you would. Come up and come up here, please. And I'm going to ask you if you would be willing to say one or two words about yourself and introduce yourself to the congregation. And we'll start with you, Charlie, down there.
Good morning. My name's Charlie Bellinger. I've been attending on and off for about 3.5 years, and I was actually right in the midst of going through this process when COVID hit. So it's time to get going now.
Thank you. And John Hajiski, would you please come forward? Thank you.
Good morning. I'm John Hajiski. I'm a rejoiner, I guess, too, trying to get back to my roots, which are in Grosse Pointe Unitarian Church and in Boston and now Traverse City. But I've taken my time about it. I've lived here since 2003, but I look forward to getting to know all of you.
Thank you, John. And Kelly, would you come forward, please? Thank you.
My name is Kelly Mcintosh. I was outside holding a garage sale sign all day yesterday and have kind of lost my voice. But anyway, I found over the last couple of years that a lot of my friends are members here. Kim Grebe told me a while back that these are my kind of people. And I found out after I started Zooming into the meetings that Ruth Gamble, who is honored here, my kids called her Grandma Ruth. She was that much a part of our building, or our family. So I thought, you know, if this was Grandma Ruth's place, then it might as well be mine.
Thank you, Kelly. Katie Short.
Hi, I'm Katie Short. My husband Chris can't be here today. We have a seasonal restaurant that's opened just this weekend, and this is their busiest day of the year, so he is unfortunately there. You did possibly see Asher and Liesel, our kids. Asher's 6 and Liesel's 3, and they love coming to RE here at the church. We are excited to be a part of this interfaith community and to help further its good work in the community in any way that we can. So thank you so much for including us.
And Mary, would you come forward, please?
Hi, I'm Mary Moody. My husband Ken and I moved to Traverse City at the end of November, just at the beginning of a very interesting winter. I'm so happy spring is here. I felt immediately the first time I came here the warmth of the congregation and how forward individuals were in welcoming me to this congregation. So I look forward to many adventures here.
And Mary's husband, Ken.
My name is Ken Bronston. Congregations are a tentative business for me. I've not been part of them for a long time, very long time. But I appreciate the way I've been welcomed here and the estimable individuals that I've met. So I look forward to meeting more of you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's very nice to have you here and join us, and we might even have some talent for singing up here. I find that I have another tenor here. He's willing to come. So anyhow, thank you very much, and you'll find the bios of all of these people in the beacon, so please be sure to read that, and please just come and welcome them and talk with them after this. Thank you.
Okay, as an introduction to this special time of welcoming new members, we share these words adapted and abbreviated from Victoria Weinstein. Here in this faith, people have gathered for centuries, seeking a higher purpose and a deeper life than they could find alone. We are grateful today for each one of you, that you have found your way here, that you have decided to make a commitment to this faith community. We hope that as members of this congregation, you will allow yourselves to know and be known, to minister to and to be ministered unto, to love and to be loved by this congregation.
Stepping stool for my height. Good morning, everybody. This is such a joyous morning. And from another writer who talks about welcome. We, the current members of the Unitarian Universalist congregation of Grand Traverse, welcome you into our circle of love and commitment. May you find comfort here, for the life often carries with it pain. So may you find joy in the shared gifts of life and love. And may you be challenged here, for questioning is a source of love and learning.
Well, another good morning. May you add your voice to ours, finding harmony in the diversity we affirm. May you build on your faith here, a faith that sustains you during life's transitions. May you find your spiritual home here, creating with us a community that welcomes all. Above all, may you help us create a better world, cultivating human wholeness and authentic interdependence.
So along with your order of service this morning, there was a second handout, so please pull that out. The new members will be reciting the first part, and the congregation has a section after them. So this is a welcoming the new members reading from Mariah Mishra Marzetti. And new members in unison. We enter as once we were welcomed ourselves. We seek to be open and inclusive, respecting your inherent dignity, your ideas, and your vision, in times when it is easy and in times when it is difficult. We seek to be supportive, not only when you reach out in courage to us, but also when you need us to reach out to you. In return, we ask that you recognize our humanity. We will not always live up to our ideals, and when we fall short, we invite you to stay in relationship with us and help us more fully bring alive the spirit of love. we welcome you as an equal member of this congregation, of this faith, and of our shared spiritual journey.
So we warmly, very warmly welcome each of you in this community of caring, of social justice action, of learning and wisdom, and so much more. Thank you for agreeing to become members and to participate in our life. Rick and John are going to hand out some your new member folders, which include a lot of the materials you can read through, and we have some gifts for you also. Yeah, study notes. Right.
Thank you to all our friendly congregation members for welcoming these new members when they first started attending services here. So after this service, again, we will be having a celebration in the, social hall. And if you're visiting and new members, grab a yellow mug so people will come up and talk to you. At least that's the theory. And if new members will stand by after the service, we need to sign the book to make you officially official. And welcome to you all.
Well, welcome, new members. We're bigger, we're stronger. Thank you. It's nice to have you. Well, while we're talking about sacred commitments, it's our tradition to have an offering at this service to support this congregation, including this building and our wonderful staff, and to support our outreach programs to the Grand Traverse region. This is providing food and shelter for people in need, and offering fellowship and support for people who feel alone or misunderstood. Our baskets have two sides, blue for the congregation and red for the community programs. For those of you online, there are three options for giving. You can send us a check, pledge on our website, or use the Vanco mobile app. Please choose wisely and generously. Today's offertory and meditation music is Agape, composed by Jim Tidwell and performed by Barbara Young.
It is our practice as a religious community to set aside time in our service to name and honor the joys and concerns that mark and touch our lives, the milestones and moments of our experiences. I will be sharing some of those joys and concerns that have been offered up for us to hold on our hearts together this morning. If you have a joy or a concern that's a bit too heavy to share with us in our service, I invite you to reach out to myself or a member of the congregational care team. Would Judith please stand? Judith is wearing the congregational care team stole that one of the members will start wearing moving forward in our service again. So thank you, Judith, for being here. So we invite you to reach out to myself or to Judith or another member of the congregational care team, or to simply hold it on your heart as you are held in the love of this community. None of us is meant to travel life's journey alone. And so now, dear ones, here is what has been shared with this gathered community for us to hold on our hearts. So we have a candle of joy and of concern from Kim Grebe. First, a candle of support for Carolyn and Mike Collins, who lost their son, Chris Collins, unexpectedly over a week ago. Chris was a cherished father of 3 wonderful young adult sons, a loving husband to his wife, Nancy, and a beloved teacher and coach to many students through the years. We also light a candle of joy, a joy for all of the incredible volunteers and donors who gave so generously of their time, talents, and goods to make yesterday's Help Ukraine garage sale a great success, raising over right around $6,038 to donate to Doctors Without Borders. Many thanks to all. You might have heard that we had a garage sale because we've got a couple more joys to light based on this. So a candle, even several, for Mary and Kim, who organized the rummage sale yesterday. They deserve sainthood. There, we'll light a couple there. We'll see what pull I have in the sainthood process. Talk to me after the service. Another candle of joy to have been a part of the awesome garage sale from Ukraine yesterday. This is from Lauren Kyneth. It took the efforts of so many donators, workers, lots of movers, sorters, pricers, and cashiers, all organized by the queen of organizers, Kim Grebe, aptly assisted by Mary Van Valen. And we can now send nearly 7,000, so this number has been adjusted a little, to the Doctors Without Borders for their efforts in Ukraine. What an amazing effort to be a part of. We also light some candles from the Norman Anderson family this morning as well. An eventful week with much to be grateful for. Jeff successfully completed the first year of his audio technology program at NMC and passed his Pro Tools certification with flying colors. So a candle for our very own Jeff. And we light another candle as well. On Monday, we celebrated our 30th wedding anniversary, and Kat's mother, Anne, was finally moved to Munson's acute rehab after a fall and emergency reconstruction of her hip the week before. So we light another candle in solidarity with Kat and Keith and celebrating their anniversary and also Kat's mother's move and recovery. And now we light one final candle for all the joys and concerns that remain in the silence of our hearts, but are nevertheless remembered and not forgotten. Joining one another in a spirit of prayer and meditation this morning, let us breathe deeply together once again, feeling the power of what brings us here, what calls us into community and connection with each other, starting first with our breath. Taking a deep breath in, one last deep breath in. and out. In our hearts, we hold much together after this full week. On this Mother's Day Sunday, we hold gratitude for all those who are mothers in one form or another, mothers from all walks of life and all identities and genders. We hold on our hearts those who have known the pain of loss, of grief and disconnection, those for whom today is both hard and heavy. We joyfully celebrate and welcome our new members who are in our midst, celebrating that they have chosen to put down roots in our community of care and love and journey with us on this journey. We join to pray for this nation and world in its pain and trouble, for the protection of reproductive rights and rights to an abortion as the threat of overturning Roe v. Wade grows larger. We continue to pray for the people of Ukraine, for parts of our international community hurting from violence. We hold in prayer as well the concerns and joys of our own hearts, celebrating anniversaries, finishing a school year strong with flying colors, gratitude for the over $6,000 raised for Ukraine and Doctors Without Borders. Prayers as well for the Collins family as they grieve the sudden loss of their son, Chris. In this time of transition for our congregation and staff, we hold gratitude for those in our community who have stepped up to help staff our office. We send our best wishes and prayer to Guy in the Sunday after his leaving. We as well are joyful that our music director, Renee Russell, is back from her time of leave and is with us. May we remember our commitments to each other, knowing that whenever we gather, whenever we pause to join our hearts as one, we know that we do not travel life's journey alone. May it be so, and amen. Dan will now share with you this morning's reading.
Our reading this morning is a reflection on community and our shared commitments, titled, I Want to Be with People, by Dana Warsnap. Often people say they love coming to a place with so many like-minded people. I know just what they're getting at, and I know they aren't getting it quite right. I don't want to be with a bunch of people who think just like me. I want to be in a beloved community where I don't have to think like everyone else to be loved or to be eligible for salvation. I want to be with people who value compassion, justice, love, and truth, though they have different thoughts and opinions about all sorts of things. I want to be with independent-minded people of good heart. I want to be with people who have many names and no name at all for God. I want to be with people who see in me goodness and dignity, who see my failings and foibles and who still love me. I want to be with people who feel their interconnection with all existence and let it guide their footfalls on this earth. I want to be with people who see life as a paradox and don't always rush to resolve it. I want to be with people who are willing to walk the tightrope that is life and who will hold my hand as I walk mine. I want to be with people who let church call them into a different way of being in the world. I want to be with people who support, encourage, and even challenge each other to a higher and more ethical living. I want to be with people who inspire one another to follow the call of the Spirit. I want to be with people who covenant to be honest, engaged, and kind, to strive to keep their promises and hold me to the promises I make. I want to be with people who give of themselves, who share their hearts and minds and gifts. I want to be with people who know that human community is often warm and generous, sometimes challenging, and almost always a grand adventure. In short, I want to be with people like you. Now, Reverend Alex will deliver his homily.
One of the most connective and sort of spiritual networks that we might think about are the connections between trees. Don't believe me? Much like our human relationships, trees too have a breathtaking series of connections where they talk to, communicate with, and even care for one another. Through a rooted and webbed series of connections, the roots of trees cover an enormous area and loop in each individual and freestanding tree. Instead of a worldwide web, we might think of instead a wood-wide web. Through these root systems, according to Richard Grant from Smithsonian, wise old mother trees feed their saplings with liquid sugar and warn the neighbors when danger approaches. Reckless youngsters take foolhardy risks with leaf shedding and light chasing. Crown princes wait for the old monarchs to fall so that they can take their place in the full glory of sunlight. It's all happening in the ultra slow motion that is tree time, so that what we see is a freeze frame of the action. Now, more peculiarly, fungi in the soil also interact and carry messages across the forest floor. Mycelium, the name for this root-like structure of fungus, has branches that connects the roots of trees into this whole wood-wide web. And in the words of Indigenous author, scientist, and botanist Robin Wall Kimmerer, from her popular book, Braiding Sweetgrass, the mycelium may form fungal bridges between individual trees so that all the trees in a forest are connected. These fungal networks appear to redistribute the wealth of carbohydrates, of nutrients and sugars from tree to tree, a kind of Robin Hood. They take from the rich and give to the poor so that all the trees arrive at the same carbon surplus at the same time. They weave a web of reciprocity, of giving and taking, and in this way, the trees all act as one because the fungi have connected them. Through unity, survival. All flourishing is mutual. Isn't that just really fascinating? So in this service where we have not only welcomed a host of new members into our midst, we're also taking a closer look at what connects us and even roots us together with one another. As a community, each one of us holds a sense of commitments, much like tree roots and fungi networks and structures. In a congregation, there are those who leap in to provide care and aid, someone who's always willing to show up and do just exactly what's needed. Hands and hearts that make the work light, that bring their best selves and share of their gifts with one another. There are also times where we find ourselves in need of support, even if we are the last person to ask for it. Times when life just seems to get in the way, when unanticipated challenges or losses hit us and we don't know where else to go. In our congregational network, we are a series of individuals who are also rooted together in an interdependent web. In alignment with our seventh principle itself, we are interdependent on one another. And our flourishing must also depend on the flourishing of others, of our community, and also of all life. We recognize how this web is only strengthened by the gifts that we bring, the parts of ourselves that we have to share with each other and with our shared world. We laugh and we cry together. We make music and tell stories. And yes, we show up where and when it matters and counts the most. And though we know we aren't perfect, as we all know that we will make mistakes or miss the mark from time to time, we know that these wider connections are there to hold each of us in a network of care, support, and love. When we think about the very act of membership or becoming a member, it's sort of like a tree putting down roots. We allow our roots to reach down deep into the soil, to connect beyond ourselves to others who are also searching and seeking. Becoming a member is an intentional choice to root oneself in community. In our case, to join one's spirit with the covenant, mission, and vision of our congregation. And in this choice, one gives up an endeavor to travel life's journey alone, and instead chooses the path of community and connection. And yes, while congregational life and community is also a lot of work, I will be the first to tell you that, it is also so immensely rewarding. While religion, spirituality, and faith have transformed and even changed and emerged in new ways with time, it seems that this timeless desire for a group of kindred souls to gather, to shoulder one another's burdens, to companion each other along the way, this yearning somehow seems to continue and endure. We need one another in terms of our mutuality, but also in terms of how we know and believe that we are better off with others who are in our lives. So to give you a taste of the history of membership in our tradition, and don't worry, this is a homily, it'll be on the shorter side, the ideas of membership and covenant themselves and signing the book, these are all traditions in our Unitarian Universalist congregations that come from the days of the Puritans and Congregationalists. Now, not to freak out any of our new members here, to be bound in covenant with the congregation was a spiritual and serious matter. It wasn't to be taken lightly. In fact, it was difficult to be released from membership once you spiritually joined a congregation because your spirit was bound up with the others who also gathered there. And this mutualism was understood on a deeply spiritual level, where covenanting to be there and to support one another, as well as supporting the mission and work of the congregation, was in of itself one of the most sacred commitments that you could make. And through these commitments, members were bound in a special sort of relationship to one another. They were rooted together in a way that each person understood the significance and the weight of this promise. So our reading this morning that Dan read for us expands on the depths of these relationships and our commitments to one another. In this beautiful reflection from the Reverend Dana Warsnap, she writes, "I want to be with people who value compassion, justice, love, and truth, though they have different thoughts and opinions about all sorts of things. I want to be with people who see me in my goodness and dignity, who also see my failings and foibles, and who still love me. I want to be with people who feel their interconnection with all of existence and let it guide their footfalls upon the earth. I want to be with people who support, encourage, and even challenge each other to higher and more ethical living. I want to be with people who inspire one another to follow the call of the Spirit. I want to be with people who covenant to be honest, engaged, and kind, who strive to keep their promises and hold me to the promises that I make. I want to be with people who know that human community is often warm and generous, sometimes challenging, and almost always a grand adventure. In short, I want to be with people like you." Like tree roots, there are many pieces calling us here and binding us together, whether we are formal members of this congregation itself or we are longtime friends. Additionally, in our world where war rages in Ukraine, where racial injustice and oppression perseveres, where the threat of overturning Roe v. Wade and restricting access to abortion and health care and one's rights to one's own body, where our changing climate leaves many of us wondering whether we can reverse some of these severe ecological damages and harms. Now itself is the time to remember the roots that hold us close. Now more than ever, we must hold on to what sustains us and what calls us and calls our spirits to be here together now. And a thought that I want to leave you with today is to ask yourself this very question: what is it that calls to you? What inspires you and moves you to join your voice with ours? In short, what are your sacred commitments that root and ground you in community? See if you can think of 3 words that name these commitments for you and what joins your spirits with this place here and with all those gathered. For myself, my 3 words are echoed in the benediction that I share each Sunday: covenant, community, and commitment. For me, these 3 C's, so to speak, say to me why I am a Unitarian Universalist and why I believe so strongly in a congregation and in congregational life. And while my answer may be different from yours, and they should be if we're doing this whole Unitarian Universalism thing right, I suspect that there are similar things that keep you rooted and grounded here as well. So as you enter this new week, I invite you to think about your own 3 C's, or the 3 words that describe your own sacred callings and commitments. What sets your heart on fire? What nourishes your being, and what do you have to share that might also nourish others? As tree roots and forest connections remind us, we are never truly alone in this life. Membership in a community goes beyond just formalities, rituals, and services. Membership involves how our commitments bind us to one another on a journey of care, trust, and mutuality. May we be like trees, not living as individuals, but living for one another. May our congregation, too, be a reflection of this interdependent web of roots and connections, calling us to be with all people who would share on this journey, too. May it be so, and amen. I now invite you to rise in body or in spirit and join in singing our closing hymn together, The Fire of Commitment. The lyrics are in your order of service and will also be available on the screen.
From the light of days remembered burns a beacon bright and clear, guiding hands and hearts and spirits into faith set free from fear. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion need to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin. From the stories of our living brings a song both brave and free, calling pilgrims still to witness to the life of liberty. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion need to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin. From the dreams of youthful vision comes a new prophetic voice, which demands a deeper justice built by our courageous choice. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion need to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin.
Now I'll extinguish the flame that has lighted our service, while we commit to a new, improved UUCGT, stronger in number and in the strength of our sacred commitments.
In the spirit of covenant, community, and commitment, my 3 C's again, may we be made ready to serve one another and to create the world that we so desperately dream of. Go in peace all, may it be so, and amen. Our service is now at its end. For those of you tuning in online, we invite you to go into our virtual social hall for a time of fellowship and community. For those of you here in person, we remind you that we have a new members reception that we'll welcome you to in the social hall for a time of some treats and coffee and other wonderful things. I just have a quick note. In the Sunday flash reminder, there's a note about the membership bylaws change and the requirements to pledge that we are considering for our annual meeting this June. If you have any questions, I invite you to reach out to Mary Van Valen or Judy Myers. Would either of you like to stand or raise your hands? There we are. So Mary and Judy will remain here in the sanctuary if you have any questions about that bylaw change or you'd like to hear more. Their contact information for those of you tuning in is also available in the flash if you'd like to reach out and ask any questions. So that's what I have for you this Sunday. Thank you for being here with us today. Go in peace and grow in love.